So we have to talk about a very, very important topic, and that is our banks stealing our money. Well, this is a huge warning. First off, I just want to say thank you guys for watching, but if you could do me a favor, do your friends and family a favor as well. Make sure you go ahead, hit that like button on this video, but also share it with them over on Facebook, because this is something that's happening. Yeah, I am serious. This is something that's happening. And honestly, I have been contemplating even covering this because I have been seeing reports in Canada where people are making a run on the banks. People are going to the banks, taking all their money out and then putting it under the mattress and sticking it under their pillow. And now that might be an option for some people, but here's what's really happening. Banks are not giving us our money when we go to the bank. Why? Because in most cases, they don't have it. Now, here's what you need to know. There is something called a reserve requirement. This is what banks have to have on hand at their bank. Okay, every single day at the open of the business day, they have to have, I believe it's 3% of their total deposits. Okay, so let's say it's a smaller bank. Let's say it has $3 million that's been deposited. This is a pretty small amount. Let's say they only have $3 million. That means that bank at the opening of business has to have $90,000 on hand. That's it, $90,000. Let's say one person decides to go in and they want to buy the new Escalade, and so they're going to go in and go buy the new Cadillac Escalade from the dealership. They want to pay cash because they're a real baller. They're going to pay cash. Well, they're going to go into the bank and they're going to ask for, $120,000. Guess what? The bank's going to be like, no, sorry, we don't have that kind of money, but we'll give you our $5,000 maximum for the day. Come back tomorrow. This is what's happening. Again, I'm not making this stuff up, and I have some comments and some emails from people that I want to read to you, because this is what's happening. What banks do is banks make money by lending money out. So what do you think banks are trying to do right now? They're trying to lend money out to borrowers so that they can make some money off the interest, right? Great deal, right? And banks are giving you 0% interest for X amount of months, right? Great deals out there. Well, here's what's happening. You go deposit your money. Let's say you deposit $10,000. Then the bank turns around, they take that $10,000, they lend it to somebody else, and they get interest on it. They get interest, not you. They do, right? Now, the bank is banking on this borrower to pay that money back, right? So then they're going to have more money, and they're going to keep lending that money, make more money, and keep lending that money. Guess what happens if these borrowers stop making the payments? Guess what? Do you think the bank is like, oh, we just lend out, $2 million of the $3 million that we had on deposits, but, well, sorry. So now the people come back, they're like, I need my $10,000. Sorry, we don't have it. We lent it out. But come back in a month, hopefully we'll have it by then. Well, that's kind of what's happening. And here's something else that's happening. I want to read you some statements from community members. This person says, and I'm not going to read their names. I'm also not going to say the banks, okay? Because I don't want to get sued. But here's something that somebody said. There really is a run on the banks. I bank at blank bank, and I went in this afternoon to get $4,800 to pay my property taxes, and I wasn't able to. They couldn't get their money to pay property taxes. The bank said to come back tomorrow. I went back the next day, and they said they weren't able to get it, but come back the next day. I came back again, still nothing. It wasn't until 6 days later that I was able to get my money. What if this was an emergency? This was $4,800. Most people do not have that just lying around in their pocket. They can't just flip over the couch cushions and, oh, there's my $4,800. I knew I forgot it somewhere. That's not the way it works. People are not that lucky. Now, seriously, what if this was emergency? What if the $4,800 was to go towards something that was, crucial, life-saving, right? What if it was to keep the lights on in your home? What if it was to pay an overdue car payment that if you didn't pay it that day, they were going to take your car. They were going to tow it away. What if that car was your lifeline? Right? Then what? What do you do then? Somebody else had this to say. How can a bank keep our money and not give it to us? 2 weeks ago, I found a great deal on a car that I wanted to buy. So I gave the seller $500 to hold the car for 1 day, and then I would be back the next day with the rest of the money. Came back the next day went to the bank the next day, and they wouldn't even give me the $2,500 that I needed to buy the car. They said the most they could give was $2,000 that day, or I could come back tomorrow and they would set the money aside. Okay. Now, and I've seen this happen before. Now, just want to come out into the bank's aid here. This person could have got a something called a whatever. What do you call the things? The little vouchers. Anyway, I'm drawing a blank here, but they could have got one of those. Okay. Now, if they would have done that, which would have been simple. And I think you got to pay like $5 or whatever it is to get one. But then you have it, okay? You can go take it to the bank, whatever bank or the seller or whoever, right? And then go and cash that, right? It's good as money. But again, you got to pay for that. So they could have done that. Another person said, my branch just closed near me and the closest bank is more than 40 minutes away. This is crazy that I have to drive 40 minutes to get my money. That's another problem. That is another problem on top of the problems, is that now we are seeing banks in certain locations closing. They're not just changing their hours, they're simply closing down. I know of a Chase Bank nearby that actually closed down its location. Okay? Just because there was not very many people that went to it. It wasn't as profitable. So guess what? They closed it down. The other thing that I heard, they're trying to sell the building. That's why. They're trying to sell the building because that was a better location. That's going to fetch more money than the other locations. So now they're going to sell that to another potential buyer. Okay, but in the meantime, you got to drive an additional 40 minutes to go and get your money. Great. And then this happened to me. This happened to me a few weeks back. Okay, I was actually trying to withdraw, I think it was like $10,000 or something like that. And I was trying to take that to move it into a different bank account. And this is for business stuff. And so I was trying to take that and move it into a different business account. Well, I went into the bank. They didn't want to let me do this because they said it was suspicious. That what did I need the money for? And I told them it's for another business. My guess is the person heard it's none of your business because they didn't want to let me do this. And so I kept asking. They asked me, well, what do I do? Where did I get $10,000? I said, well, I'm a marketer. Because on my application for that bank, it says I'm in marketing. It's just still one of the things that I do. But again, it wasn't until, and they kept refusing, it wasn't until the branch manager came out and I was able to speak with them. Then they were able to release $10,000 and I could go and deposit in another bank. So again, that's always an option. But here's the reason why I bring this up. I bring this up because banks are starting to do this more and more. Now, I remember seeing an article, I think on Bloomberg or Forbes or something months ago, and I really wanted to talk about this. But I was thinking, there's just not a lot of proof there. There's just not a lot of people coming out saying that banks are not giving them their money. And then I started to see videos on YouTube from, I think one was like Canadian Prepper. And if you haven't watched any of his stuff, he doesn't just talk about stuff going on in Canada. He talks about stuff going on all across the world as well, here in the US also. He has some great content. But that's one of the things that he said is, yeah, there's a run on banks. People are running to the banks, trying to take out their money because they do not trust them. If the bank becomes insolvent, do you think you are going to get your money first? No. And then if the bank becomes insolvent, what is one of the things that the bank can do? And this is something that we saw, was it Cyprus or it's some other country anyway. I believe it was Cyprus. But what they end up doing is the bank end up issuing like stock. Okay. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because let's say a bank is becoming insolvent. They don't have a lot of money. They don't have a lot of new customers, right? And we are dipping into a recession. The bank is going to give you stock in their company. Okay, great. Well, if you get, whether you get 1 share or 1 million shares of a worthless company, is it really worth it? No, it's not. So I wanted to bring this up because this is the reason why I see so many people are running to the banks, pulling their money out, because why would they even trust the bank? Now, here's one thing I can tell you. And even though I'm giving you this warning, I just want to be very clear that I do not believe every single bank is going to take your money. I don't think every single bank is going to say, you know what, we just don't have it. Come back next week. That's not going to happen. Okay? Do I think banks will do this? Yes. But I am a firm believer, and I'm 99.9% sure that we are not going to see every single bank, every single financial institution do this. Now, this is also one of the reasons why I do keep a lot of my money in banks. But I don't keep it in one bank. I have probably 10 or so different bank accounts. Some are online, some are more local, some are international, right? That's the way I do it. Now, again, that's not financial advice. That's just what I do personally. All right? So that's what we know at this time. Again, make sure you share this video with your friends, family, and loved ones over on Facebook as well, so they too know what is going on. Because again, this is something that I personally believe we are going to see more and more of in the near future. So again, thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.